Good morning and welcome to the Mike and the Hoss Show, powered by the Yum Shop on the Pulse of New Hampshire. I'm Mike Dene, and alongside Charlie Hossack, we are Mike and the Hoss. Charlie, before we get going, we got to congratulate J-Dog back in studio. 24 years in the business.
That's amazing.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Congratulations, dog. So keep it going. You got at least another 24 in you, I hope.
One day at a time.
All right.
That's what we say. That's what we say in education too. One day at a time.
One day at a time. I like it. Yeah.
So everybody had a good week. A lot of sports things happening. National championship game.
Yeah.
Patriots all over the place. Hires everywhere. Celtics tanking. Bruins tanking. Red Sox doing nothing.
The Patriots, though, the Patriots, you should be excited. I'm excited about it. We're going to talk about it, but I'm very excited about the Patriots. They've made some moves, and I don't know. We'll talk about it. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I would say I'm significantly more excited than I was last year when they announced their coaching staff last year. It's like night and day. But we have a lot of things. Hall of Fame voting came out this week too. Yeah. We have some interesting things we're going to do today, Charlie. And I don't know if we're going to get to all of it. We never get to all of it, but I think just some interesting discussion points that are good for talk radio. And you and I don't know if we're going to agree. I know we're not going to agree on one thing right away, which is your opening take. So let's get to it. But I do want to do my opening take first.
Because it was leftover. It was leftover from last week, and it's better that we waited for your opening take because we're heading into the NFC and the AFC championship games this weekend.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be applicable next weekend. I don't think it's going to count next weekend. So I just I gave away one of my picks that's going to be happening this weekend. Mike and the Hoss is powered by the Yum Shop, located in the heart of downtown Wolfboro, and can be found on the Pulse of New Hampshire radio stations and all over the world on the Pulse of New Hampshire app. You can always catch up and listen to our podcast on the app, Spreaker, and also on Audible. And if you're tuning in on Facebook Live, you're catching us on Facebook Live. You're catching us on YouTube Live, and Charlie, you had mentioned, or on Amazon Music, just everywhere right now. Yeah. The Yum Shop has over 100 varieties of fresh baked goods, including six different types of bread and a full-service ice cream bar, and of course, their most famous item, the gingerbread cookie. Make sure to visit the Yum Shop the next time you're in Wolfboro or online at yumshop.com. And while you're there, enter the discount code of Mike and the Hoss to receive 20% off a Gingy Box. Now you can join our conversation at 603-228-2080. That is 603-228-2080. Opening takes. Brought to you by the Back Bay Boathouse,
where you can enjoy delicious food and drinks right next to the lake. And of course, don't forget to order the $5 Mike and the Hoss penalty box during happy hour, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. And I know those penalty boxes are delicious. So go in there and make sure you tell them that Mike and the Hoss sent you.
And when they're really delicious? As I was there on Wednesday, 50-cent wings on Wednesday night.
Jeez,
you heard it right. 50-cent wings on Wednesday night.
So Back Bay Boathouse, 50-cent wings. And are they still doing your Thursday prime rib special, Mike?
Yep. Thursday, $20 prime rib special. Now Wednesday night is wing night, 50-cent wings. You get them in lots of 6. So that's $3 for 6 wings.
And they do Tuesday nights, they do $5 margaritas and $5 tacos. It's like it's a Taco Tuesday. So it's good stuff.
The Back Bay Boathouse. Last week we tabled this, and it is applicable because the Kansas City Chiefs won last week. There's been a lot of hubbub about if the Chiefs win another Super Bowl, if they win a Super Bowl this year, is their dynasty the best dynasty of the 21st century? Did they pass the Patriots in the NFL? And my take is not yet, but it's close. Be careful. It's close. It's coming. There's some reasons here. So if they were to win this year, that would be 4 titles for the Chiefs. The Patriots have 6. So ahead of them on that one. The Chiefs would have a 3-peat. That would be better because the best the Patriots ever done was a 2-peat. Nobody has 3-peated. 3 Super Bowl losses versus 1 Super Bowl loss. The Patriots have been to more Super Bowls. They're 10-3 in the AFC Championships versus 4-2 for the Chiefs. The Mahomes Brady talk it's not premature anymore. It was premature. It's not premature. And yes, Brady did it over a longer period of time. But, one thing that we did last week, we talked about most dominant athlete at their peak.
Mhm.
We didn't mention Mahomes.
No.
And you've got this 6-year stretch. Mahomes has been a starting quarterback for 6 years. He has been to the conference championship game 6 years.
Right.
That's legit. That you can, and he's had the same head coach. He's had a different receiver core. He has had Travis Kelce, which obviously is pretty nice to have, a guy like that, especially when he comes up clutch. I saw a stat that if you took his Kelce's playoff games, which is about 17 playoff games, he's like 130 catches, 18 touchdowns, he's like really stupid numbers that he has. And Mahomes obviously has them. The Chiefs have them, but it's not quite there, but it's close. It's getting there. And I think as Patriots fans, we're going to have to kind of buckle up that there's a good chance the Chiefs are going to pass you.
Now, let me ask a question for you guys. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but also Mahomes is playing in a kind of, I want to say, almost a different generation than Brady. I mean, Brady, they have created, the NFL has created a game to just protect Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's a diva, and you can't even blow on him without having a penalty, where Brady could get his head smashed in, especially in the early years when football was football. And, Patrick Mahomes nobody can touch him. It's like two-hand touch. You're not allowed to tackle Patrick Mahomes. So I think the game has evolved to something that's different. So I don't want to take it away from Patrick Mahomes as far as his numbers, but he's still not playing the same type of football that Brady played early in his career.
I early in his career, I would agree with that early in his career, but I think that the Terry Bradshaws of the world probably said the same thing about Tom Brady in the early part of his career compared to you look at old tapes and Bradshaw just absolutely mauled, and Staubach and all these headliners as far as quarterbacks get just mauled back there well after the ball was released. Right. I agree with you. The stuff that's going on with Mahomes is a bad look for the NFL because consistently week in and week out, he's getting calls. Yeah. And a guy ran some stats last week, 10 calls from the game on Saturday that were kind of not just iffy. They were like, are you kidding me? Right. The one that he went out of bounds and he slowed up before he went out of bounds and then went diving out of bounds and rolled. That was a bad look for Patrick Mahomes and the NFL.
Yes.
The one that he was he rushed and then he slid at the last minute, and two Texans, they played the Texans last week. Two Texans collided with them, each of themselves, and missed Mahomes over the top of them. Yeah. They missed him completely, and they got the whistle. And these are all play extenders. Yeah. And it's I was gonna go. It's funny you say that because I did tweet something about a call in the Buffalo game last week that was ridiculous, and I'm afraid the referees are getting in the way of the game.
Yeah,
I'm afraid they're getting in the way of the game. But that's another topic. Mahomes is close. The Chiefs are close. The Patriots just better start coming to accepting the fact that they might not have the greatest dynasty of the 21st century for very much longer.
Right, but they have to. The Chiefs have to win this year. So.
Well, they have to win. Winning this year gives them the 3, which is something the Patriots didn't do. Yeah. I think they have to win 3 more. I mean, I really do. I think they have to win 3 more. They got to get to 6. It's all about championships, Charlie, and you got to get to 6.
Yep, and it's like as Dog was saying, he's one day at a time, and it's one game at a time. So we'll see. And when we get to picks later on, we'll see if any of us think the Chiefs are going to survive this weekend.
Very good. All right. How about you? We can get yours in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely. So mine is we're going to do a little talk of Baseball Hall of Fame, and I just want to. I'm bringing up an old topic that just kind of doesn't sit well for some Red Sox fans. I know, Mike, you're going to disagree with me, but we're in a situation here where CC Sabathia got into the Hall of Fame, and Curt Schilling is not in the Hall of Fame. So I kind of took a look at CC's stats versus Kurt's stats. And when you're taking a look at Curt Schilling, his career stats overall, he won 216 games. CC won 251 games. Schilling's overall ERA is 3.46. CC's at 3.74. Schilling has more strikeouts, 3,100, and change strikeouts. CC has almost 3,100. If you're looking at if you're looking at the whip, Schilling is a little bit better with 1.137 and CC's at 1.2. When you take a look at postseason, I mean, you can't argue the point that Schilling was a beast, an absolute beast in the postseason. I mean, he was 11-2, 2.23 ERA, 19 starts. We know the deal with the 2004 ALCS and the bloody sock and all that stuff, and CC, of course, in the postseason, he won a championship with the Yankees. He wasn't as dominant as Schilling, but certainly a great pitcher. And just I think so. My take is I think CC belongs in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to take that away from him. He certainly does. But if that's the case, Schilling belongs in the Hall of Fame, and the reason, of course, has to do with Schilling's off-field antics, which brings me back to my point that I just get fired up with the fact that do we always have to take a look at things that are happening outside of the lines instead of between the lines? What say you guys?
Well, Schilling's an a-hole. I've said that for a long time, and it does have an effect. And I think what he did with Tim Wakefield down the stretch of Tim Wakefield's life was probably the last straw for a lot of people. And, you need your base to vote and to promote your Hall of Fame credentials. And if your base hates you, then it's going to have an effect on it. If you're not a Hall of Fame in your base's eyes, and in this case, we're talking about the Red Sox, obviously, then I don't know how you could be a Hall of Famer in Major League Baseball. I understand it's stats. I get what you're saying about the stats, but I do think it transcends the stats. It's more than the stats. It's how you represent the emblem that you're playing for. Yeah. And that's where I think Schilling has fallen apart dramatically since he retired. I mean, off the charts since he retired. And it's not I'm not saying his political views. I'm saying his general demeanor in public and what he's done to his former teammates. That's been the line of demarcation for Curt Schilling and the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's going to get in, and I think it's going to be that because there's not a Red Sox fan in the world that's going to that wants him in there, that wants him representing the hat.
Right.
That's my take on it.
I'm okay with that, but I think what the MLB has to come up with, or the Baseball Hall of Fame, if that's what it's going to be, then character matters, which I agree with. Character matters and everything. So kind of put that out there. So we're going to take a look at all your stats and everything you've done in between the lines. We're also going to take a look at how you treat others and how you operate in the rest of the world. And that's going to weigh into our decision as well. Just make that known, make that public because if you look at the NFL, if you look at that Hall of Fame, look at the people that are in the NFL Hall of Fame, like, people, Ray Lewis, for example, it's a bad dude right there. Like, you know what I mean? You have people here that have done really bad things that are Hall of Famers in other sports. So if that's what MLB wants to do, I'm not anti that. I could fully support that, get on board because character matters. I get that. But I think they just have to, make that known instead of having people like me be like, well, if I'm just looking at the stats, there's no reason why Schilling shouldn't be in there if he's better than some of his counterparts that are in there with worse statistics.
We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame later on in the show because the voting happened and who's getting in and who's going to be coming up. I appreciate the Hall of Fame voters that release their ballots to see who they're voting for. I would like to take it a step further. I would like to interview them on why you voted for this person and why you didn't vote for this person. To your point, Charlie, is it about character? Is it specifically about what specific thing about their character did they not vote for, or whatever reason it is? I would love these guys to answer those questions because I think a large part of the baseball public would be interested in the thought process that goes into voting somebody in or not voting somebody in.
Right. Good point.
Okay. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we got all kinds of things that we're going to do. So we'll be right back with more Mike and the Hoss. Back to Mike and the Hoss on the Pulse of New Hampshire. Time for some New Hampshire sports. We have some New Hampshire sports to talk to you about today because the NFL, not the NFL, the NCAA football, the college football playoff championship finally happened, and which was about our poll question. And there was a massive New Hampshire connection that happened in this game that we want to talk about. But first, Charlie, New Hampshire Sports is brought to you by
Bailey's Bubble. Family owned and operated Bailey's Bubble in downtown Wolfboro serves the finest ice cream in the state from May through October. If you can't make it to Wolfboro for ice cream, you can still order their hot fudge, panucci, and butterscotch sauces at baileysbubble.com. My favorite sauce is their homemade hot fudge. When placing your order, don't forget to tell them that Mike and the Hoss sent you. So as you said, Mike, the national championship game took place on Monday night, and it was the Ohio State University playing against Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. It was, we could talk a little bit about the game. The Ohio State University beat Notre Dame, and the first half, it was just all Ohio State. It was just a big old whooping in the first half. The connection, though, the New Hampshire connection, which is really cool, and we have mentioned this before, is the head coach of Ohio State is Ryan Day, and his offensive coordinator was Chip Kelly. And Chip Kelly and Ryan Day both graduated from Manchester Central High School here in the great state of New Hampshire, and from the University of New Hampshire. They both went to UNH. Day was a 2002 graduate, and Chip Kelly graduated back in 1990. So it was kind of cool. And, they've been together before on different teams, coaching and working together. But it's kind of nice to have that New Hampshire connection with Chip Kelly and Ryan Day, who are now national champions. So that's pretty exciting.
I think it's almost amazing.
Yeah.
Because New Hampshire is not the hotbed of football.
Right. Yeah.
And if you watch an NFL game and they're introducing guys, or a Division I college game, you don't see people, being introduced from New Hampshire,
right.
in those games. And the fact that two highly, highly successful coaches in college and, to an extent in the NFL were in that game. The head coach and offensive coordinator of that game is amazing. It's amazing. And I guess it just shows you anybody who's trying out, in New Hampshire, trying to get a start in football, you can do it. Yeah, you can get there.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of pride. I mean, we have children that are UNH alum and children that are still at UNH. And there's a lot of pride down at the University of New Hampshire that, hey, these guys came through UNH, baby, and they are national champions. And, they're performing at the highest level possible in college athletics, and it's awesome to see. So
just think if you're a grad assistant on the UNH football team, and you're studying tape, analyzing tape, or whatever a grad assistant would do, there's a shot. You got a shot, and it's not a dead end job. Being a coach at the UNH is not a dead end job. So congratulations. The other part that we did, our poll question had to do with the game last week. Dog, what were the results of the poll question last week?
Again, we had it on X as well as at the Pulse of NH on X, and also on Facebook page at the Pulse of NH. And it was resoundingly the Ohio State University, 71.4% yes for the Ohio State, and then Notre Dame 28.6%. That was on X. On Facebook, it was 70-40 for the Ohio State University.
Well, we all picked Ohio State, so we all kind of knew what we were doing. It wasn't much of a game.
It wasn't. I mean, I was impressed that Notre Dame was able to at least make some adjustments and make it a little bit more competitive in the second half. But boy, that first half, it was just like I had considered going to bed at halftime just because I could have. But it was a little more competitive in the second half. But yeah, Ohio State looked really good, and it's interesting looking at this college football playoff, the format and stuff, and looking at who obviously Ohio State winning, and you didn't the way the teams were seeded. They're going to have to take a look at that, because that was kind of a disaster as far as who ended up eventually in the national championship game.
What's even more amazing, Ryan Day was all but fired back at the beginning of November.
Yeah.
Beginning of November, he was done. They were looking for other coaches. They were wondering who's going to land Ryan Day. Is he going to be an offensive coordinator in the NFL? Right. And then he goes on and wins the national championship. And he won the national championship because they went to the 12-team playoff.
Yes.
If that's a 4-team playoff, they don't make it. He would have been unemployed.
You know?
Yeah.
And and think about that. And then the best team in the nation wouldn't have won the national championship. So
Would have played in the WhoCares.com Bowl in January or late December.
That is true.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes left before the break. We're gonna kind of shift things around a little bit. We're gonna come with the Bruins and the Celtics now because we want to talk about the Hall of Fame. We want to talk about the NFL and what's going on there. Before we do the Bruins and the Celtics, the Bruins are gonna right after our show. Actually, soon after our show, Bruins are hosting the Avalanche at 12:30 p.m. is the pregame, and 1 o'clock would be the puck drop. Right over here on the Pulse of New Hampshire radio. And on tonight, the Celtics at the Mavericks finals rematch that Dog put on there at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. is the tip-off, Dog, or is that the pregame?
That's the pregame, 5:35, tip-off, ABC TV, but you can hear it on the radio.
Awesome. Both teams are. Let's talk about these two teams right now. They're both struggling, and the Bruins. You know, there's a good chance they're not going to make the playoffs. We talked last week. It's time to blow that whole thing up. New Jersey came to town the other night, and New Jersey had won like 2 out of their last 15 games, and they're the Bruins get smacked 5-1. It's a bad loss for the Bruins. And then last night, which I think is even worse, the Celtics go out to the Lakers, the old Celtics rivalry, all this kind of stuff, and everybody's getting pumped up for this game, and they lay a massive egg last night. Fully healthy. I understand it's the second of a back-to-back, blah, blah, blah. But fully healthy, and they laid a massive egg. They did not show up. The Lakers were ready. The Lakers went out and played. Celtics didn't show, and I think it's a bad sign for this team.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, you're looking at records with the Celtics being 24-18. I mean, the Celtics are on the struggle bus, and it's too bad. You know, we've always talked about, are they going to repeat? Are they going to repeat? And you know, it's so difficult for a team to repeat the championship. And with the makeup of the team, you know, Mike, you said last week, you know, should they get rid of Mazzulla? And I don't know, maybe they need to do something. You can't get rid of the players, so you might need to do something to shake up the Celtics to see if they can kind of figure this out.
You know, they have Sam Cassell on the bench, and Sam Cassell is pretty highly revered in as far as coaching circles and from the players. And I wonder if that's the direction that they go. They have him on the bench. He's right there. It wouldn't be a massive shakeup. It would be just removing, you know, just it's kind of keeping it in-house. But they have to do something. The style of game that they're playing right now it's so almost unwatchable.
It is.
They're taking more 3-point shots than they are 2-point shots. They actually more than 50% of their shots are 3-point shots. So that's the game that you're going to watch is just guys playing basically horse.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad basketball, and they don't seem to have any motivation at all. It's almost as if they've already won 3 titles.
Right.
Oh, Charlie, the lights go off on you?
Yeah, the lights went off me. I apparently didn't pay the bill. Let me stand up so that I can get the lights back on.
All right. But, you know, getting back to it, Dog, I'd love to hear your take on the Celtics on their malaise right now, because I think that's probably what it is. It's a malaise. I just don't know if they're going to be able to wake up from it.
I think it's January. It's the dog days. They're getting ready for the All-Star break. I've been told in NBA circles, this is what they do. This is what the best teams do. They're going to do this to make the appearance as if they don't care because, well, they don't care. So when the second half comes around, you make a trade or two, and all of a sudden, boom, you're right back into it. I think it's just the dog days of the NBA because some of these good teams the OKC has slumped a little bit. They haven't had a good 2 weeks, and they still have the best record in the Western Conference. So
yeah, but we're not talking 2 weeks. We're talking 2 months, and it's a pretty significant. It's not a bad couple games. It's 2 months of 500 basketball, and I don't know. And I mean, yes, they won last year, but God, you can make some arguments that the schedule was in their favor. A lot of guys got hurt down the stretch that they went against in the playoffs. They're acting like Golden State after Golden State has won 3 out of 4.
Right.
This is not a team that, should be acting like that. They haven't won that much. Yes, they won the title. I get it, but they haven't won that much.
Hey, to
be taking that time off.
Before we go to break, guys, do you think? I mean, Doug, you mentioned this. You said trade. Do you think the Celtics are in it to make a trade? Do you think that they will make a trade?
think they could. I think they could.
Okay.
Yeah, but here's the big one: is it going to be like an earth-shattering trade, or is it going to be? It's going to be the
Peyton Pritchard or someone.
Oh no, not Peyton Pritchard.
No,
Charlie, are you? How are you?
Pritchard, dog. No,
Not that one. So it's not going to be one of the Jays.
No.
Won't be one of the J. No, not at all. Too much.
No.
Guys have too much money to just move around. They don't have. They're like the Utah Jazz are not going to get a Jason Tatum or a Jaylen Brown or a Drew Holiday, or they would. They'll just dump the contract like they like to do in the NBA. The player is there for maybe a week or not even there. The contract is there, and then they just move him to someplace else, like at the Clippers or someone else.
Right.
All right. When we come back, Charlie and I are going to be dissecting the Baseball Hall of Fame results and also do some predicting on who's getting in next year, which I know we're not going to agree on that. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Mike and Hoss and the Pulse of New Hampshire. Charlie, this week we are not doing a trivia question. One of the reasons that we want to spend some time dissecting this Hall of Fame thing. You and I have enjoyed doing it over the years, and it's always kind of we don't agree on a lot of them. We agree on some of them, and I like predicting who's going to be coming next, and just the whole thing, that thing about the Hall of Fame voting and how these guys come to be, and there are some no-brainers. Those are fun to do, and
Right.
then there's those bubble. It's always the bubble guys.
Yeah.
And I've shared with you before, when it comes to Hall of Famers, I need to say their name, and I'm going to tell you if they're in or they're out, and that's how I decide if they're a Hall of Famer or not. If I have to think about it, then they're not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So this week, by no surprise, Ichiro got in.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the greatest all-time hitters in all of baseball. Played, correct me if I'm wrong, 10 years in Japan, came here and still got 3,000 hits in MLB. So well over 4,000 hits. He ended his career, if you combine both. Billy Wagner, the lefty reliever, kind of made his main note in Houston, was his main place, his main stopping ground. Did a year in with the Red Sox, I believe, like 09 around then, did a year with the Red Sox. And then you had talked earlier about CC Sabathia. Those are the three guys that get in. I do like the way that Major League Baseball Hall of Fame voting does do it, that you have to get to a percentage. And it's some years nobody would get in. Some years one person gets in. You've got to get to that percentage, which I thought was interesting. The fun part is talking about who didn't get in and who's going to be coming up next. And the two close ones are Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones. By all accounts, those guys are expected to get in next year because they are at 70% and 66%. They got to get to 75%.
Right.
When I say Carlos Beltran or when I say Andrew Jones, do you think Hall of Fame?
I don't for Andrew Jones. I mean, I'd have to think about it, but Carlos Beltran, I do. So
what if Andrew Jones or Carlos Beltran played the majority of their career in, let's say, New York for the Yankees?
Yeah.
Would they be Hall of Famers then? Much easier. Would they already be in?
Yeah, much easier if you're playing for a market like that. Yes.
So it matters. The market does matter. It's impressive. Yeah. Billy Wagner getting in there is impressive.
Yeah, he's
because he
multiple teams. Yeah,
multiple teams. Houston.
Yeah.
Dog, you want to jump in on that?
Don't forget, Beltran signed the biggest contract in free agent history with the Mets in 2004. So he did play for New York for a little while. And he did play for the Yankees briefly. Andrew Jones, towards the end of his career, played for the Yankees. But I know what you're getting at. I know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I looked at Beltran's stats. He is a 279 career hitter. 430 or so home runs. The 400 home run mark isn't the magic mark anymore. It used to be the magic mark that if you got 400, you were in.
Yeah.
And it's not the case anymore. There's guys that have hit 400. Adam Dunn has hit 400 home runs. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Dave Kingman hit 400. Dave Kingman hit 400 home runs, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. So it's not automatic anymore. No, and I don't necessarily think it should be. I want to scan down the list all the way down. First year on the list was Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah.
And he got 12%, 47 votes. It's not a bad starting place, for a guy that's not going to get in first ballot.
Right.
Do we still feel if you compare Carlos Beltran, if you compare Andrew Jones, neither one of them won an MVP. Neither one of them won Rookie of the Year. They did, they played big market teams. Pedroia has an MVP, has a Rookie of the Year, has World Series titles.
Beltran has Rookie of the Year too.
Okay, sorry. He doesn't have an MVP though.
No, he doesn't. Don't look at that anymore, by the way. They look at WAR. They look at WAR now.
Yes.
They do look at WAR. And I don't know. I think if you start comparing Pedroia to some of these names, I think that there's a chance. And then you go to next year. These are the guys that are coming up next year. Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun is an MVP, but he's a disgrace in Milwaukee as far as the juicing, the crazy juicing that he was doing.
He threw a FedEx driver under the bus, not literally. He blamed a FedEx driver. He ruined someone's life. It was just scummy what he did.
Yeah. So he's a big no. Shin-Soo Choo. I probably didn't pronounce that right.
Shin-Soo Choo. Big League Choo, as they used to call him. Shin-Soo Choo.
Edwin Encarnacion. I can't speak today. Alex Gordon, Cole Hamels, Matt Kemp, Nick Markakis, Hunter Pence, Rick Porcello.
No,
I don't think so.
No.
You know what kind of surprise? If you look at Jeff Kent, remember Jeff Kent?
Yeah.
And his numbers, he didn't get in, and his numbers, comparably to some of the guys that are getting in now, I think that should be a discussion point.
Right.
He had a surly relationship with the media, much like Barry Bonds, a teammate of his in San Francisco. And Kent has an MVP as well. 25 years ago, in 2000, he was the National League Player of the Year at the brand new, at the time, named Pac Bell Park.
Is that the character thing? Is it a character thing?
Yes.
It is. I mean, looking at like the votes this year for A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez. I mean, 146 votes. Who's voting for him? Like that frustrates me. A-Rod does not belong in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I thought we talked about this before. Why doesn't he belong in the Hall of Fame, Charlie?
Because character matters.
Oh.
I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. It's kind of funny. It's the teacher in me, Mike, and you'll appreciate this. I kind of wish there was just a rubric for how to get into the Hall of Fame, because I still, as we're going through and talking about these plays, I still don't know what the criteria is. I mean, we said 400 used to be automatically in if you hit 400 home runs. That's not the case anymore. I just kind of wish it were more clear as to if you surpass this, and this, then you're in the Hall of Fame.
It's very obvious that the steroid era, those guys are not getting in. We saw Roger Clemens timeout last year, I believe it was. Manny Ramirez only has one more year of eligibility, and then he's done, and he's at 39%. Alex Rodriguez, obviously, the crown prince of juicing rather. This is only his fourth year, but I don't see him getting in. And you can't let one in.
No.
If you go through these guys, if you go through the Sosas, the McGuire, Ramirez, the Bonds, the McGuires, if you let one in, you got to let them all in. It can't be. And that's where I go back to. I think that the Hall of Fame, Cooperstown, should have a room for the guys that, not the character people, but the cheaters that put up the numbers, the Hall of Fame numbers, but there's a little asterisk there. And then that room's a little darker than the other rooms, and you have to walk through just like cobwebs or something like that with some crappy music, and you walk in there and it's like, these guys Hall of Fame, but they might not have done it on the up and up.
Yeah, right, the right way. Yeah.
Hey, before we got a couple minutes before break. This is I pulled this, and I know we're going to start talking about baseball. These are the upcoming milestones that might happen this year. Talk about Hall of Fame list. Mike Trout needs 22 home runs to get to 400. Is Mike Trout a Hall of Famer? Duh. Manny Machado, 100 hits to get to 2,000. No. Juan Carlos Stanton, 2 home runs to get to top 50 all time.
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman doubles? No. Sterling Marte? No. How about Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer? Verlander needs 84 and Scherzer needs 93 strikeouts to get to 3,500. These guys are top 10 all time in strikeouts.
These are
I don't know if they're going to.
These guys are Hall of Famers. Yeah.
How about this one? Kenley
gotta get a
Jansen.
contract first.
Yeah, well, they got to play. That's right. Kenley Jansen. He was the Red Sox closer last year. 31 saves to be top 3 all time.
That's
Where do
crazy.
these closers go? I don't understand how these closers quietly go up the record list.
Yeah.
I didn't think Kenley Jansen was a top 3 all time closer.
It's crazy.
He had a ton of saves in LA. I think he gets the benefit of the doubt for that. That's why he was a fixture for LA for years. So
Anthony Rizzo, 8 hit by pitches to be top 7 all time.
That's wild.
I don't know. So we did mention a whole bunch of those guys are definitely going to be Hall of Famers. Some of them are probably going to be first ballot. I'd like to see Mike Trout get healthy, and
Me too.
And I think right now the best thing that can happen to Mike Trout besides getting healthy is get traded to a big market.
I would love that. Could you imagine any big market? He deserves it. Give him a chance.
plays in
to-
a big
give him
market,
chance.
Los Angeles.
Give him a chance to win a title. Yeah, he could go if he went over to the Dodgers. Dog, that'd be great.
No
We
more
need
of
to-
that. No more of that. They've signed enough.
Well, and we need to talk about that. And maybe next week we could talk about that, what the Dodgers are doing in terms of signing all of the number. The Yankees were accused of this way back 15, 20 years ago, that they were signing everybody. They've got nothing on what the Dodgers are doing right now.
Right.
The Dodgers are just kind of quietly staying, waiting, and then they come in at the last minute, outbid everybody, and they're signing with them. So, and we got to decide, is what the Dodgers are doing good for baseball? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be. All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to talk NFL when we come back. Hey, welcome back to Mike and the Hoss. Before we get started, I want to mention our live stream is sponsored by the Heinz Group of Philadelphia and London. So if you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, you're seeing the banner for the stream sponsored by the Heinz Group of Philadelphia and London. We certainly thank them for their support and sponsorship. The Patriots, it's been all good news coming out of New England since the since the last game. It's been all good news, and what a difference it is compared to the coaching turnover that happened last year. It's like night and day. There was no excitement with Gerard Mayo. Sorry.
No, the adults are running the team again, which is great.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And Mike Vrabel, who they obviously hired as the head coach, is cleaning house. He's cleaning house, and you're seeing a lot of names that were rumored to be causing some issues, no longer there.
Yep.
And it's, to your point, Charlie, the adults seem to be running this. And I don't know if that was just a matter of time that since New England had so much success over a long period of time, it elevated a lot of people to jobs that they shouldn't be doing. And Vrabel came in there and said, "Well, you don't know what you're doing, so you're no longer making these decisions. I'm going to take care of this."
Yeah,
and
right.
Yeah, which is what it needed. It's what it needed. You see, I'll use the Raiders for an example, that or Dallas is another example, that these teams go on for a long period of time before making these kinds of changes. And the Patriots seem to have made the changes now. Now, the other big news was this week that Vrabel hired Josh McDaniel as the offensive coordinator.
Right. Welcome back, Josh.
How do you feel about that?
I feel good. I mean, it's a comfort thing for me, just because of all the success that we had with Josh McDaniels. I don't think Josh is ever going to become a head coach in the league again. And I think he's here for a while. And I think working with, Mike Vrabel, and obviously they have a relationship from the past, I think it's good. And the things that Josh McDaniels can do with young quarterbacks, I think this is even better for Drake May, that he has Josh coming back to kind of work with him and kind of push him along to become an even better quarterback. I think that having Vrabel as head coach, having Josh as the OC, and then they plucked Terrell Williams from Detroit as the new defensive coordinator, and he had great success there as well. That I think the Patriots are dare I say back, but they're close to being back. And my expectations, Mike, and you were probably going to ask me this. My expectations is that the Patriots make the wild card. I think if they could put some things together, there's no reason why, with the coaching staff and some of the talent that the Patriots have, and hopefully who they're going to draft, that the Patriots are going to be back in action again. And we're not going to have a 4-13 season. Maybe we're going to have 9 wins, maybe 10 wins. And that would be amazing.
I think the expectation for any NFL team should be the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're coming with new coaches. And I've said this to you, guys, for about a month and a half, that there should not be a learning curve for NFL head coaches. You should be coming in with a plan and expectation that you should be able to win. You're working under the same salary cap that everybody else is working under. I understand that. If the cupboard was bare, then it might affect things, but it should not be a problem from a coaching standpoint, like it was last year in New England.
Yeah.
As far as the Josh McDaniels thing, I'm with you 100%, Charlie, that it's comfortable. I just don't know if comfortable is a good thing. I don't know that. And I don't have a problem with Josh McDaniel being there because he does provide some comfort, and it looks like it's going to be some long-term comfort. But is he just going to put the same Patriot offense that we saw for the last 15 years? Josh McDaniel has struggled outside of New England. He struggled without Belichick, and he struggled without Brady when he wasn't with Belichick. He didn't struggle without Brady with Belichick. So there's some unknowns there as far as how Josh McDaniel's going to do, but he is comfortable.
He is. He's comfortable, and I'm feeling like there's a Patriot system that Vrabel's familiar with. And granted, he's put his own spin on it as a former head coach, and now coming back to New England. I think there's an ability for Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel, and then to get Terrell Williams on board, that the Patriot way, does it exist? Maybe it really does, and we're gonna see this this as they put the team together this year. That there's something about two people that have worked together before. Coming together and the great success that they've shared, I think they can reproduce this again, and especially with how talented we saw. I mean, Drake May had nothing to protect him. Can you imagine if he even had 1 or 2 guys to protect him? How awesome he's going to be.
Well, they've never worked together before. Vrabel and McDaniels have never worked together before. So
no, they have. Well, they've been on the same team before.
You mean like McDaniels was the coach and Vrabel
was a player? Yes.
Okay. So they know each other.
That's what I mean by that's the Patriots way. So they understand that. Yeah.
Either way, it's significantly better than it was, and that's what I'm resting on. That it's better than it was. I'm looking forward to, even though it's a year away or 9 months away, to what next season can bring. All right, I know Dog's going to start waving at us in a little while as far as the games. Guys, I am. It's not that I'm forfeiting, but I am waving the white flag in terms of our bet. And I tried to extend it as long as I could, but it was just too much. Literally no team that I wanted to win last week won. So it was a rough week all around. So my only question to you is, where are we going? And would you guys be willing to, for the last 3 games of the NFL season, these 2 games this weekend and the Super Bowl, to be betting on who's going to leave the tip?
Yes,
because I got the tab. You guys want to just to put a little bit on this? Who's going to leave the tip based on the last 3 games?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm in.
Okay.
Are you in, Dog?
I'm good. No worries there. All good.
Yeah. I just like Mike. I like the fact that I can say, because it sounds so good. 2-3, Mikey D. You did it.
I know. 5-1. Let's have some fun. Was lasted for 1 week. All right. So we don't need to go into records. It's a new season, 3-game season. Buffalo at Kansas City. What do we got?
The Buffalo Bills. It's about damn time they start playing on Fox in the Super Bowl. Remember, when they played in the 90s, they were playing on ABC and CBS and NBC. That's over. It's time for the Buffalo Bills to circle those wagons to New Orleans and play at the Caesars Superdome in 2 weeks.
Charlie?
I have the Buffalo Bills, just like Dog said. They're going to circle the wagons, Kansas City's going to lose. I'm not going to have to see Travis Kelce anymore, and I'm certainly not going to have to see Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs are going to lose. Buffalo Bills all the way.
I'm not a big Buffalo Bills fan. I'm not a Kansas City fan. I'm going to go for Buffalo on this one. I think it's their time. And if it's not their time, if they lose this game, you might see a coaching change in Buffalo, even though they made it that far. You might see that because this is the year for them. They've got to get over that hump. All right. The Commanders at the Eagles, the surprise Commanders at the Eagles.
Yeah.
Very much so. Jalen Daniels not playing like Jalen. Yeah, he's not playing like a rookie.
Right.
I think he's going to. I think the Eagles. It's in Philly, cold weather. I think they're going to win this one, and we're going to see Bills Eagles in the Super Bowl for the first time ever.
Man, dog, you're speaking my language. The Eagles fly on this one. The Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. They're gonna face the Bills. We have a good friend that's who loves the Bills, loves the Eagles. It's going to be an amazing Super Bowl. Eagles all the way.
Who's he going to root for, though? Who's he going to root for? That's going to be a tough one for him.
He's going to root for the Bills. So
I'm going to go. The story with Jaden Daniels is a lot of fun. I'm going with the Commanders on this one. I think that the way that he's playing. Yeah, I give them a shot, and just to keep things interesting, so I'm going to go with the Commanders. I'm going to be ahead of you guys by one game. Dogs waving.
Yeah, it looks like, Mike, you're going to have to pay for the tip as well.
Probably. I'm already planning on it, so it's okay. All right, that's going to do it for us. Dog already gave us the wave. Thank you for listening to Mike on Hoss on the Pulse of New Hampshire. We will see you or catch up with you next week on Saturday for more Mike on the Hoss.